Time top financial officer of Donald Trump's company, Allen Weisselberg, did it again, pleaded guilty to felony perjury charges in a Manhattan courtroom earlier today. He admitted that he lied in sworn testimony when asked about allegations that Trump lied about his wealth during the ex-president's civil fraud trial. This is now Weisselberg's second guilty plea. In 2022, he pleaded guilty to multiple tax fraud charges and served 3 months at Rikers. Today's guilty plea will put him behind bars again for up to 5 months. These new charges come just weeks before the ex-president is set to face trial on separate allegations that he falsified business records. Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg's criminal case. The New York Times lays out the implications of today's developments for that case, writing this, quote, Monday's guilty plea could strengthen Mr. Bragg's hand heading into trial, deterring other witnesses in Mr. Trump's circle from lying on the stand. The perjury charges could also discredit Mr. Weisselberg, who has disputed details of the prosecution's evidence in the case. Joining our conversation, New York Times investigative reporter Sue Craig. Andrew and Eddie are with us. Sue, Weisselberg's going back to Rikers for Donald Trump? What?
Yeah, I think by this time he must know the bus route to the facility.
and the menu, the weekly lunch plan. I mean, what did he get? Why?
Why? Because he said during the civil trial, he was testifying during the civil trial, and he said at one point that he, wasn't really familiar with the valuations of the, now infamous triplex that Donald Trump lived in Trump Tower. And almost immediately, Dan Alexander at Forbes, he's a reporter there, puts out a story that has just a litany of back and forth between Allen Weisselberg and his magazine about how involved he was. And the headline in the story even said that Weisselberg was lying on the stand. And this almost immediately triggered an investigation that led to this morning's proceedings, where he looks like he's going to end up back in Rikers for another 5-month tour of duty.
So there were lies that could be fuzzed up with the complicated, fuzzy, borderline unethical practices in New York real estate. And then there were lies that were so obvious that I could understand them. And lying about Trump, the size of Trump's tacky condos, is like a lie that a child could understand. Anything that you could measure with a tape measure is a hard and stupid thing to lie about. Why did Weisselberg participate in those stupid lies?
Wow, that's above my pay grade, that one. I don't know. I mean, sometimes maybe you're just saying these things so often that you forget the difference between the truth and a lie. I don't know. It was puzzling to me why he would it was such an obvious misstatement, and it was seized upon immediately. And I think prosecutors saw it as a way in to come back with charges against Allen Weisselberg. They had been looking at other charges to potentially bring him about other misrepresentations that they had found. And this one, was almost just immediate. People's heads were spinning when it happened. So here we are.
Explain the Times reporting today about how this strengthens Alvin Bragg's hands ahead of a criminal trial.
Well, I think there's probably two components to that. One is Allen Weisselberg, moving forward with this perjury charge really does send a message, a very loud one. It's actions, not words, that to other witnesses that you better not do this. And so I think that's one thing. And I think going in, Allen Weisselberg knows a lot about the hush money payment. We know that he had discussions with Michael Cohen, who's another key witness in the case, about how to structure this payment so that it didn't look like what it was. And Allen Weisselberg has been an uncooperative witness. So I think if they couldn't get him to cooperate, they want to discredit him.
That Allen Weisselberg is going to Rikers twice over the hush money alleged crimes, and Allen Weisselberg's crimes are crimes that aren't just alleged, they're crimes for which he's been convicted, is such a remarkable contrast to the way Trump world looks at this one. Like, oh, not that big of a deal.
So let's just pull the lens back. Who is Allen Weisselberg? He is the longtime chief financial officer of the Trump Organization. He has pleaded guilty. Before today, he pleaded guilty to a decades-long tax conspiracy And it's not just him. The Trump Organization was convicted of just that. So that's the backdrop to this, to what we're talking about with respect to Donald Trump. We have the chief financial officer engaging in, by his own words and admission, this crime, and a jury has already found that the Trump Organization did this. He gets out of jail. Normally, there's some kind of chastening from Rikers. I don't care if it's like a day. That's not a great place to be. And he hops on the stand and lies again.
Why?
And so one reason, he's worked for Donald Trump for years. He has engaged in this tax scheme and crimes at that organization for years. And by that evidence at that trial, he was not alone. It's not like he alone was doing this crime. It was benefiting all sorts of people, including the Trump Organization and thus Donald Trump. And here he was, if he told the truth about this, he was going to implicate himself in yet another crime. And as was brought out at trial, he was given, in this, we talk about a hush money case with respect to Stormy Daniels. The evidence at this trial was that Allen Weisselberg had a $2 million hush money payment to him as part of his severance. He was told, even though he had pled guilty to this tax offense, he was given $2 million to say, you know what, you have to cooperate with us, don't meet with the government. And there was still $1 million left on that payment. So he had made a choice about which side he was on.
But after taxes, $1 million to go to Rikers twice. And I know it's a ton of money, but he's not a young guy to go to Rikers twice. I feel like there's got to be more in there. It's a ton. It's a ton of time of your life, at a point in your life where going to Rikers 2 times for Trump, who hasn't been held accountable by anybody, just seems like a remarkable act.
Well, it's hard not to look at that and think that what he has pled to
is the tip of the iceberg.
exactly.
It's amazing.